Henry belonged to the rare category of people who are able to achieve success in life through intelligence and determination, and not at the expense of connections or profitable patronage. He worked his way up from a simple courier to the director of a major bank without outside help. Despite his high position, he did not lose his humanity, conscience, and thirst for justice. That is why all his subordinates, from a simple cleaner to a deputy, respected and loved their boss, and some of them pitied him. They said that in his youth, the director suffered a personal tragedy because of some crazy love. Until now, Henry had not been married and had no children. He had affairs, of course. Nothing can be hidden from his colleagues, but they were all frivolous infatuations. Henry warned the deputy that he would be leaving early today. A very serious meeting was planned, in anticipation of which Henry was very nervous. He did not know what awaited him, a business conversation or an evening of memories. Should he come to the conversation empty handed or with a gift? What was he supposed to present? The director thought it over and decided that there was no need to get wise. All women love flowers, and an expensive, tastefully designed bouquet is always appropriate on any occasion. He closed the office and went out in the street, where he headed for a small flower shop. In a kiosk, Henry was greeted by a wondrous world of flamboyant roses, lush hydrangeas, pretty tulips, and stern carnations. The pavilion could have been called perfection had it not been for the voice of a saleswoman, which sounded dissonant in the harmony of beauty and tenderness. You do not look like a bank employee, my dear. I work in a bank around the corner, but I don't have $10. You can get a good deal all over the street that way. Florist, a young, well-groomed woman, openly mocked the modest girl. She spoke loudly, clearly working for the audience, saying, "Look what kind of contingent we have to meet nowadays." The girl's cheek burned, as if she had been hit. Henry recognized the poor girl. It was his subordinate, the cleaner, Emily. Young, just a girl. Apparently, she did not have enough money for a bouquet. Emily was only 20 years old. She had only recently come to the bank. Young and pretty, she was nothing like her relaxed peers. The girl was modest and smiling. She was not ashamed of her work and worked conscientiously. She had been to that marvelous flower pavilion several times before. Behind the glass, in a vase, there was a magnificent bouquet of roses, creamy and delicate, gilded by the rays of the sun that fell from the window to the window display. She had seen the exact same ones in her mother's hand, in the only photo she had ever seen. Her mother, young and beautiful, like a kind fairy, held the roses and smiled merrily. Emily loved her mother more than anyone else in this world. She sang the most beautiful lullabies, cooked the tastiest meals, and told the most interesting tales. She laughed so loudly during the day and cried bitterly at the night. "Why are you crying, Mommy?" little Emily asked. "I sometimes feel very sad." "Is it because our father drank castor oil again and swore at you?" guessed the girl. "Oh, this castor oil." She smiled sadly. Emily did not want to remember her father. Even then, as a child, she did not understand why her beautiful as a rose mummy lives with such a terrible and evil father. He smelled disgusting, he shouted loudly, broke furniture, and broke her favorite cups. And the worst part, Daddy beat Mummy to the blood. Emily remembered hiding under the table when her father came home drunk, and he drank every day. And it wasn't castor oil at all, it was vodka. Her mother tried to calm her father down, to give him a good meal, but he threw plates, stomped his feet, and tried to kick her in the stomach. Emily closed her eyes and trembled. She really wanted to escape from this hell, but how could she leave Mummy? Then one day her mother died. Emily could not believe it. In the coffin lay a beautiful and peaceful woman, not at all like a dead person. Henry stroked her favorite face with her hands, tried to wake her up, because miracles always happen in fairy tales, and Sleeping Beauties came to life. But no miracle happened, because it was life, not a fairy tale. Nearby stood the swollen, blackened father. People in the cemetery whispered that it was he who had given his wife a heart attack. The same people dragged Emily away from the coffin, into which she clung with a desperate cry. The girl was not sent to an orphanage. Her grandmother on her father's side took her in. She was often ill, complaining of poor health, but she dragged Emily with the lust of her strength. The old woman died, barely making her granddaughter's birthday, 20 years old. She was buried next to her mother. Her father outlived his wife for a short time, one day drowned in the river after drinking himself to the point of fever. The body was never found. Emily realized she was all alone in this world. She loved going to the cemetery. She planted bright flowers on her mother's and grandmother's graves, put up a simple fence, and painted it blue. In September, Mom would have turned just 42 years old. Emily decided to put beautiful roses on her grave, which she had spotted in the boutique. She mustered up the courage to go into the pavilion, pointed to the coveted bouquet, and saw the price. Even yesterday flowers, already expensive, cost $10 cheaper, and today, Emily confused. I'm sorry, but I'm a little short. Could you lend me a bouquet? Tomorrow we have an advance. I'll be sure to bring you the money. I'm not far away. I work in a bank, she asked the seller. You do not look like an employee of a bank, my dear, said the woman in a sarcastic tone. This was followed by insults and mockery. Emily cried with humiliation. At that very moment, someone above her head addressed the seller. You have a callous heart and a wicked soul, girl. That's no way to treat people. Now you have thrown a boomerang, and it will surely come back. The man paused and hit you on the head. The florist pressed her lips together resentfully, and Emily turned to face the man. Oh, hello, Henry. Emily, what bouquet did you want? The girl pointed at the roses. I only lack $10. This is for my mother, for her birthday. Beautiful flowers. Take it and hurry up. Congratulate her. Here, the money. Henry frowned. We have such a tradition in our team to congratulate mothers. Take it, I said. Emily carefully took the bouquet and turning around on the way out, said, You probably have a tradition to congratulate the living mothers, and I take these flowers to the cemetery. Thank you very much. The director shook his head and looked at her. Then, as if forgetting about her, turned to the seller, drily said, Are there any more roses in exactly the same shade? I think the bouquet would be perfect for a woman of elegant age. The seller instantly rushed to the bidding of a tall, well-dressed man. This gentleman, by the look of him, really did work at the bank around the corner. The chauffeur stopped the car near a low yellow-painted building. Children were playing in the yard, and the educators, huddled together in a circle, were watching the kids. Henry got out of the car, showed the guard a pass, and followed him down a wide hall. Children singing could be heard from somewhere. The appetizing smell of freshly baked goods wafted across the floor. There were pictures of fairy tale scenes on the wall. Well, children's homes were no longer horror stories for the little ones. Now they breathed home, comfort, and cleanliness. Not like they used to. But probably no matter how nice it was there, it was still better with parents. The director was thinking. Emma remembered the orphanage sadly. If there was anything good, it was her favorite teacher, Camilla, who gave warmth and affection to her orphaned pets. It was with Camilla that Henry had been seeking a meeting for several months. The tutor, who later became the director, refused Henry's request for some reason. Perhaps she didn't want to reopen the past. She didn't want to, but Henry needed the past. For 20 years he could not live quietly, could not sleep at night, he could not breathe without his Emma. He fell in love with the girl at the first sight. Emma was a graduate of this very orphanage. The young people applied to the registry office. Despite their parents' protests, Henry paid no attention to his mother's mournful cries. What do you need her for? To procreate beggars? I will not let you. No way. He saw only Emma as his wife, or her, or no one else. Henry just got a job at the bank as a courier, received a penny, but he knew that he would achieve everything himself. With a wife like that, he was up to everything. That morning, Henry drove to work in his Moskvich. The mood was ruined. They had a serious quarrel with his beloved. And because of what? Because of nothing. He wanted a big wedding with a restaurant and a fancy dress, and she resisted, calling Henry a spender, and it's on. She was stupid. She didn't realize at all that she should shine on her happiest day. He would have thrown gifts and flowers at her. She loved flowers so much. But Emma sulked. Henry got angry and even slammed the door. It's alright. She's a rebound. She'll be sure in the evening. A hard blow to the side of the car. The Moskvich overturned several times. A sharp pain and saving darkness. Henry woke up in the hospital. Having opened his eyes, he saw his mother, great and aged. She was crying with joy. Son, you're alive! You're back! Henry asked with difficulty. Where is Emma, Mom? The mother hesitated, and then, hiding her eyes, said, So Emma left you. She disappeared. No answer, no greeting. Henry rose abruptly in bed. How she disappeared? Mom, what are you talking about? Yes, we had a quarrel this morning, but Mother sadly shook her head. You were in coma, son. 2 years. Who would wait that long? The boy dropped his head into the pillows with a groan. 2 years. 2 long, endless years. It couldn't be. He looked for Emma. He asked friends, acquaintances, colleagues, but no one could say anything. There were rumors that his fiancée had married right away and then given birth, but there was no certainty. All searches ended with nothing. 20 years flew by. Henry berated himself with the last words for the brilliant idea that came into his head too late. Emma had told him many times that everyone in the orphanage loved Camilla, and teachers are always aware of the lives of their favorites. That's how he found himself on the doorstep of the children's home. Camilla, a small, youthful woman, greeted Henry warily, without a smile. He was silent, not knowing where to begin a conversation, but the woman spoke first. There is no need for unnecessary words. I know you, and I know why you came to me. Henry was surprised. Camilla, how do I find Emma? What's there to look for her now? Have you awakened feelings? Didn't you respected womanizer abandon the pregnant girl? How did you dump her? You didn't even bother to tell her in person. Through your mother. Henry was crushed by the orphanage director's cruel words. I didn't leave her. I was in coma for 2 years after the accident. I looked for her all my life. But Camilla did not soften at all. You were looking for her badly, Henry? Well, but now it's easy to find her. And like a sentence, she dictated the address. Second City Cemetery, 6th line, 4th row. When? A long time ago, 15 years ago. Emma ran to your father and mother so many times, and they drove the poor girl away. They said you got married and went to the other end of the country. She came here, crying. She was full. She married an alcoholic for some reason. Even though I called her to my place, I wish we'd brought up her child. Henry dropped the bouquet from his hands, and an old educator ruthlessly threw it in his face. You'll put flowers on her grave. Emma loved these golden roses more than anything else in the world. Henry asked quietly. And the child? Who did he stay with? The grandmother, the alcoholic's mother, took her in. She died too. The girl's all grown up. I don't know her address, and even if I did, I wouldn't let her. Henry came out of the orphanage, shuffling his legs. The driver looked at him questioningly. Home? To the cemetery, Ben. And don't wait for me. Ben looked at the bouquet. Didn't you like it? Henry did not answer him anything. That's why he could not find his daughter when he checked the rumors. Her last name was given by her husband, Emma. Where is she now? The man walked through the cemetery. The leaves rustled under his feet. September painted the whole earth in golden and purple colors. Emma's birthday is in September. She was so happy when Henry gave her a huge bouquet of creamy, golden-colored roses. He photographed her that day. Birthday. It was my mother's birthday. She loved roses. She died. Henry remembered Emily's words. Something was in the way. Something was wrong. Could it be? No, it couldn't be. The director found the right row, a couple of modest, well-kept graves, on one of which was visible from afar a lush, ornate bouquet of roses, and next to it, on a bench, the cleaner. Emily sat. Henry's leg buckled. His throat was dry. Emily, seeing the man, jumped up frightened, staring at him in surprise. Don't be afraid, honey. Henry took a breath. I'm your real father. Of course, the girl was struck by Henry's story. She believed him. They sat for a long time, near the native grave, and could not talk enough, crying and laughing. Henry transferred all his unspent love to his daughter. He helped the girl to get an education and choose the right path in life. Emily was infinitely happy, having found a father, a protector and friend. Henry's elderly mother, seeing her granddaughter, fell to her knees and kissed Emily's hand, asking her forgiveness. She realized what a horrible thing she had done. Henry forgave his mother after all. He belonged to a rare breed of man. He had a heart of gold.